Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Oh, yeah, diving right in.
And this time,
This one's going to be a good one.
we're exploring the world of charismatic Christianity
Oh, absolutely.
through the lens of a sermon.
Okay.
And the sermon is by Pastor Jerry Eze.
All right.
It's called It Is My Time and My Turn.
Catchy, very catchy.
It is catchy.
Yeah.
So this sermon is all about faith and prayer and this idea that there's a perfect time for everything,
Okay.
like almost a destiny.
Yeah, like fate, destiny.
Exactly.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to.
Totally.
Yeah, and Pastor Eze really taps into this desire
Right.
for things to happen at just the right moment.
Yeah, he actually calls it Kairos time.
I love that.
I know, it's a cool concept, right?
I've heard that before, actually.
Yeah, it comes up in a lot of different spiritual traditions.
Yeah.
But he contrasts it with Chronos time.
Okay, so like chronological time.
Exactly, like our everyday clock time.
Okay.
But Kairos is God's time.
So it's more about divine timing.
Exactly.
Interesting. Like it's not linear.
Right, it's not always predictable.
Yeah.
So I'm curious,
Yeah.
have you ever had a moment
Oh, yeah, tons.
where you felt like something happened at just the right time?
Like it was meant to be.
Yeah, like if fate stepped in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
Where something happened at like the worst possible time.
Yeah, totally.
And you're like, why now?
Exactly. Like the universe is playing a joke on you.
Totally. Yeah.
But Pastor Eze argues that even those tough times,
Right.
they're all part of a bigger plan.
A divine plan?
Exactly.
So even the bad stuff is part of it.
That's what he's suggesting, yeah.
I see.
And to illustrate this point,
Okay.
he talks about the story of Rebecca from the Bible.
Oh, yeah, Rebecca, I know that story.
You know it.
I do. She struggled with infertility, right?
Yes, for years,
Wow.
and desperately wanted a child.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's a really powerful story.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that her husband, Isaac, had already prayed for her.
So she had support.
She did.
Okay.
But Rebecca felt the need to pray as well.
So she took matters into her own hands, kind of.
Yeah, in a way.
Wow.
It makes you think.
It really does.
Why was it so important for Rebecca to pray?
Right.
Even when Isaac had already prayed?
Exactly. Good question.
It's a question Pastor Eze directly addresses.
Okay, what does he say?
He says that even when others are praying for us,
Yeah.
it's essential to have our own personal connection with God
through prayer.
through prayer. Yeah.
I see. So it's about taking ownership.
Yes.
As your own journey.
Exactly. Like, I can see that.
And Rebecca's story gets pretty intense.
Oh.
Yeah, he talks about twins.
Right. She had
Esau and Jacob
Right.
struggling in her womb.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah, it's not a very comfortable image,
No, not really.
but it seems like he's using it to highlight the challenges.
Oh, they come with waiting for a breakthrough.
So, like, it's not always going to be easy.
Yeah,
There's going to be some bumps in the road.
Yeah, and he's not sugarcoating it.
So he's keeping it real.
He is.
I like that.
He's saying that the path to our Kairos moment might be difficult.
Might be hard.
Yeah, and that even those difficulties,
Yeah.
they can be a sign that a major shift is coming.
Oh, that's interesting.
So instead of fearing those hard times,
Yeah.
he's suggesting we should see them as a potential catalyst
For growth.
for growth. Yeah,
So, like, a challenge.
exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's like that saying.
What is it?
Sometimes the greatest battles are fought right before the biggest breakthroughs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And he goes even further.
Oh, how so?
He says that God can actually rearrange situations.
What does that mean?
Like he can change things up,
Wow.
bring about unexpected blessings,
Okay.
and even speed up timelines.
So even our sense of time, he's saying,
Yeah, he's challenging our human perception of time.
okay.
And he uses some pretty strong language.
Oh, like what?
He says things like, the Lord just rearranged it.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
It is powerful.
Very visual.
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
God is stepping in
Taking charge.
and orchestrating events in ways we couldn't imagine.
Wow. Okay. So it's not always going to be what we expect.
Exactly.
Even if we think we have a plan,
Right.
God might have a different one.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's about surrendering to a power beyond our control.
That's a big one.
It is a big one. Yeah.
Letting go.
Yeah. Trusting that something greater is at work.
It makes me think about those times when things haven't gone according to my plan.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But then something unexpected happens.
Yeah.
And it ends up being even better.
Exactly.
So that could be what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what he seems to be suggesting.
I like it.
That those unexpected twists and turns,
Yeah.
they might actually be God redirecting us
Oh, wow.
toward a greater purpose.
So there's always a reason.
That's what he's saying.
Wow.
So it's not just about waiting for good things to happen.
Okay.
It's about actively engaging with our faith.
Okay, like taking action.
Yeah. And trusting that a higher power is working behind the scenes.
Interesting.
It's a shift in perspective.
It is.
And it brings us to one of the most interesting parts of his sermon,
Okay, tell me more.
this idea of prophetic declaration.
What's that?
So he encourages his congregation to declare,
Okay.
"It is my time and my turn."
Wow. Bold statement.
It is bold.
Yeah.
And it ties into this idea of aligning ourselves with our desires
Okay.
and speaking them into existence.
So like manifestation.
Yeah, it has that element to it.
I see.
But for Pastor Eze and his congregation,
Yeah.
this declaration is more than just positive thinking.
Yeah.
It's an act of faith.
So it's deeper.
Yeah, it's about surrendering to God's will
Wow.
and trusting that he will make a way.
Even when we can't see it.
Exactly.
Okay, that's powerful.
It is powerful, right?
Sure. Yeah, I can see why people are drawn to this message.
Me too.
It's hopeful.
It is.
Yeah.
And it gives people a sense of agency.
Right, like you have a role to play.
Exactly.
It's not just passive.
Not passive at all.
I like that.
It's about actively participating in your own destiny.
It's inspiring, for sure.
This whole idea of divine rearrangement.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like, how do we even wrap our minds around that?
Right.
It sounds great in theory,
Yeah.
but like, what does it actually look like in practice?
Totally. Like, how do we actually see it happening in our lives?
Right.
So can you give us some examples?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So Pastor Eze uses some really compelling stories
Oh,
to illustrate how this divine intervention might actually work.
yeah.
Like, think about those times when you just feel stuck.
Okay.
Like nothing's working out.
Yeah, like you're hitting a wall.
Totally. Yeah. Or like a dead-end job.
Yeah.
Or a relationship that's falling apart.
Mm.
Or just a situation that seems impossible to change.
You feel helpless.
Totally.
Like you've tried everything.
Right. And nothing's working.
Exactly.
And that's where he's saying God can step in
That's
and shift
simple.
things.
Like how?
Like changing the timeline,
Right.
changing outcomes, even like flipping our expectations upside down.
That sounds pretty radical.
Yeah, it is. And he uses some pretty strong language to drive that point home.
Yeah, like the Lord just rearranged it.
Exactly. Like, bam, God steps in.
It's almost like he's shaking things up.
Yeah, like a cosmic reset button.
I like that.
Yeah. And he uses the story of Rebecca and Isaac and their sons.
Esau and Jacob.
Yes. To illustrate this.
Okay.
Because remember, God told Rebecca that her older son would actually serve the younger.
Yeah, which was totally unexpected.
Totally. It was a reversal of the traditional birthright.
And it caused a lot of family drama.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there were some hurt feelings.
Definitely.
But it shows that God's plans don't always follow our logic.
That's a tough one to accept.
Yeah, it is. It's like sometimes we think we have it all figured out.
Yeah, we have our plan.
Right. And then God comes in and says,
Nope, I have something different in mind.
exactly. And it might even seem unfair from our limited perspective.
It can feel that way, yeah.
But he's saying ultimately it serves a higher purpose.
So there's a reason,
There's always a reason,
even if we don't understand it.
even if it doesn't make sense in the moment.
Wow, that's a lot of trust.
It is a lot of trust.
Yeah.
But that's what faith is all about, right?
Okay, so when God rearranges things,
Yeah.
what does that look like for us? Like, what do we actually experience?
Oh, good question. So Pastor Eze talks about unexpected blessings.
Right.
Like imagine a sudden healing
Wow,
or a financial windfall.
like out of the blue.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Or a relationship that's restored.
After years of conflict.
Exactly.
So it's like these moments of grace.
Yeah, like God's grace just pouring into your life.
And it catches you off guard.
Yeah, totally.
I love that.
And he wants people to see that God is actively involved in our lives,
Right.
working behind the scenes.
Yeah, like a secret agent of good.
I love that.
Orchestrating things for our good.
Exactly, the
Expect-
comforting thought.
It is.
Yeah,
But he doesn't shy away from the fact
Yeah.
that even when God's working,
yeah,
there's still going to be pain and struggle.
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not always going to be easy.
No, life is full of challenges.
Exactly.
But he actually says
What's that?
that sometimes the intensity of the struggle
Yeah.
is a sign of the magnitude of the blessing.
Like the bigger the struggle,
Huh?
the bigger the blessing.
Exactly, like it's all proportional.
Wow. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, it's a different way of looking at things.
It is.
And he compares it to childbirth.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, the pain of labor is necessary
Right.
for new life to emerge.
So it's like a process of transformation.
Exactly.
I see. And he talks about how the struggle is meant to break us open.
Like, what does he mean by that?
Like an alabaster box, being shattered to release its precious fragrance.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful image.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes we need to go through a process.
Of being broken down.
Yeah, of letting go.
Of old patterns.
Exactly.
To make space for something new.
Yeah, and that can be painful.
It can be very painful.
So how do we navigate those difficult times?
Good question. And he talks a lot about the importance of prayer. And he's very specific about the need for both communal prayer.
So praying with others.
Yes, exactly. But also individual prayer.
So that personal connection.
Yeah, that one-on-one time with God.
And why is that so important?
He believes it's in those quiet moments when we can really hear God's voice and receive specific guidance.
And build our faith.
Exactly. And build that resilience we need to face those challenges.
It's like that inner strength. That comes from connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
Right, something beyond.
Exactly.
And he also talks about not settling for less than God's best.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, don't just sit back and wait for blessings.
Yeah, go after it all.
Like, take action.
Yeah, be proactive.
Okay, I like that.
He tells his congregation,
What's that?
Don't come into a new season and begin to wait again.
Oh, wow, that's powerful.
Like, seize the moment.
Yeah.
Embrace the possibilities and step boldly into what God has planned.
Like, own it.
Yeah, totally.
And what strikes me is that it's not just about personal transformation.
No.
It's like he connects this personal rearrangement
Yeah.
to a larger impact on the world around us.
Right, like it has a ripple effect.
Exactly.
And he reminds his listeners that they are carrying nations within them.
Nations.
Yeah, it's a metaphor for the potential we all have to make a difference. Like each of us has the power to impact the world.
So it's like our personal Kairos moment is also connected to a bigger purpose.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's a lot to consider.
It is. It's like layers upon layers.
It's mind-blowing, really.
And as we wrap up this part, I want you to think about what area of your life feels stuck or out of alignment. What if, instead of forcing things, you surrendered to the possibility of divine rearrangement?
Wow, that's a big one.
It is.
What might that look like for you?
Well, doors might open.
What miracles might unfold?
We'll explore those questions in the final part.
Okay, sounds good. So we've been talking about this divine rearrangement, and I gotta say, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. It really makes you think.
It does, but it's one thing to just believe in it.
Right. It's another thing to experience it.
Exactly. So how do we actually activate this power in our lives?
Well, Pastor Eze doesn't just leave us hanging.
Oh, good.
He actually provides some really practical strategies.
Oh, perfect. That's what we need.
Yeah. So he equips his congregation with these tools and techniques that can help them align themselves with God's will and step into their destiny.
I like it.
So it's not just about waiting around. It's about actively participating.
And one of those techniques is that prophetic declaration we talked about.
Oh, yes. It is my time and my turn.
Exactly. And he really emphasizes the power of speaking those desires out loud.
He does, and it's not just about repeating the words.
Okay.
He has the whole congregation chanting together.
Oh, wow.
With so much energy and conviction.
So you can feel the energy.
Absolutely, yeah, and you can almost feel the faith building in the room.
Wow, so he's really transferring that belief to each person.
Yeah, empowering them to claim those breakthroughs.
It's like athletes visualizing their victory before a big game.
Oh, yeah, that's a great analogy.
They see it, they feel it, they believe it.
Exactly, and Pastor Eze actually encourages his listeners to do something similar.
Okay, how so?
He tells them to really see their blessings, to feel them.
Oh, wow.
Even to taste them, as if they're already experiencing them.
So it's almost like bringing those blessings into the present moment.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and he's drawing on these principles of manifestation, which are so popular these days.
Yeah, like the idea that what you focus on expands.
Yeah, exactly. But for Pastor Eze, this visualization, it's not just a mental exercise.
It's deeper than that.
It is. It's a spiritual practice. A way of aligning your heart and mind with God's will.
So it's about surrendering to that bigger plan.
Exactly, but it's not all about visualization and positive thinking.
Right, because faith without works is dead.
You got it. He's also very clear about the importance of taking action.
Okay, so what does that look like?
So he encourages people to be proactive, to take steps toward those goals.
Okay.
Even if they seem small at first.
Like baby steps.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Rebecca.
Oh, yeah, from the Bible.
Yes, when she prepared the venison for Jacob.
even though Isaac wanted to bless Esau.
Exactly. She didn't just sit around passive.
Right, she took action.
She did, guided by her faith.
It's a good reminder that sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zone.
Absolutely. Take those risks.
And trust that God will honor our efforts.
Trust the process.
And sometimes that even means going against the grain.
Yeah, challenging the status quo.
Rebecca's actions definitely weren't conventional.
Definitely not. But she believed in what she was doing.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
It does, yeah, to go against the expectations.
It's inspiring.
And even though her actions were rooted in faith, they still required effort and perseverance.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It wasn't easy.
No, not at all. And Pastor Eze acknowledges that.
Okay.
That the journey to your Kairos moment, it's rarely easy.
There will be bumps along the way.
Oh, yeah. And he tells people to keep pressing forward.
Even when it's tough.
Especially when it's tough.
Because breakthroughs often come after a period of struggle.
Like that image of the twins struggling in Rebecca's womb.
Yeah. Sometimes the greatest blessings come after the toughest challenges.
It's like a test of faith.
But he also reminds us that we don't have to go through it alone.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about the importance of community.
Having that support system.
People who will encourage you.
Lift you up.
Pray with you.
It makes a huge difference.
It does. And he really emphasizes the role of the church in providing that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not limited to just the church.
Right.
He encourages people to build relationships with anyone who uplifts them and inspires them.
So it's about creating a positive environment around yourself.
Exactly. Surrounding yourself with good people.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's a good one. And it's not just about personal transformation either.
Right. It's about collective transformation.
Yes. Creating a ripple effect.
Like paying it forward.
Exactly. Making the world a better place.
And even if you don't identify as Christian or agree with everything Pastor Eze says, there's still a lot to be learned from his message.
Absolutely. There's that universal appeal.
It's about hope and empowerment.
And the belief that we can create a better future.
For ourselves and for the world.
And that's something we can all get behind.
It is. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to think about,
what is it?
What is your Kairos moment?
Ooh, good question.
What have you been longing for, dreaming of?
Praying for.
What step can you take today?
Yeah, no matter how small.
To move closer to that vision.
Remember, you don't have to have all the answers.
Just take that first step.
And trust the journey.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've been inspired.
Yeah, to step into your own season of breakthrough.
Keep believing.
Keep praying.
And keep taking action.
It's your time.
And it's your turn.